That's Jenny Don't and The Spurs and the title track from their fourth album, Broken Hearted Blue. We found Jenny along with fellow founding Spur Kelly Halliburton, who was sporting a House of Guitars t-shirt, having just played in Rochester, New York. By now they were in New Jersey in the middle of their coast-to-coast tour. So, how are those new tunes going over?
Pretty good so far. We've been just, we've got a big catalog, so we kind of mix it up because we don't want to only play new stuff if anyone's been listening to us. So
right.
we kind of sprinkle a few songs from every album in our set.
Yeah, it's our fourth album, and I think we have, I don't even know how many singles we have and EPs. It's, so there's a pretty vast amount of songs that we have to choose from.
So now you have a catalog. It's pretty exciting. Do you see any kind of difference between what you were doing, on the first album to what you're doing now? Has there been some kind of evolution in the band?
I think our songs are just, I think we've just kind of progressed as a band. I think, the idea of we're still the same, but just more refined.
Right. So
yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I think we've become more proficient in the style and more I guess I like what we were doing with the old stuff, but we've kind of moved forward a little with as we've been a band for 12 years, so naturally we're going to progress a little. I mean, unless you're AC/DC,
they can they just keep making the same song over and over again, don't they?
Yeah, which is excellent, which is great. But, that kind of
no one's ever complained about it.
That kind of consistency is great if that's what your thing is, and that's what the fans want. And I think there's a consistency and a thread that runs through what we do.
Yeah.
To an extent or to a degree, but there's also some, just stylistic changes. And there's been a lot of lineup changes over the years. It's been Jenny and I consistently, but Christopher, this is, Christopher's second record with us, second LP, and he had more of a hand in contributing to the writing on this one than he did with the last one. Right. I think he'd only been in the band for a couple years, or maybe a year when we started writing material for the last record, the Fire on the Ridge.
Yep.
He's been in the band more than 7 years at this point. So
yeah, and this one, Broken Hearted Blue is just bound to be slightly different because it's a different drummer. It's our first album with Buddy Weeks on drums, and so he's introduced his own style and playing. So I think it's a cool new chapter for the band. I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, and we've also kind of tried to incorporate, I feel like on the first couple records, we were sort of defining ourselves as more of a country / rockabilly influenced band. With this, I think we've let some of our other influences show through. We all love surf music and we all love garage rock. And so we've incorporated some of those elements into our sound to what's maybe a greater extent than we did on our earlier records.
Right. Is that just to kind of keep you more interested in what's going on, or to give the fans something else to listen to, or what?
Yeah, it's just to have fun with it.
Yeah,
it's fun to play. We have to play these songs every night, so we want to keep them interesting to us too, not just the people who listen to it.
Yeah, but also not to feel like we're just putting out the same album, or the same tradition. We're not like stuck within the traditional Western music. That's why we started playing this in the first place, is so we could do whatever we wanted to do.
Right. Yep. And let's see, who did you have producing this record? It was a guy from Brian Jonestown Massacre, right?
Yeah. Colin Hegna.
That's the one.
Yeah.
So what did he bring to the table?
Well, so Brian Jonestown Massacre is his more well-known band, obviously.
Yeah.
But we sort of started working with him on the basis of his lesser-known band, which is a Portland band called Federale. And they're a very sort of cinematic, the spaghetti Western kind of garage stuff that is really right up our alley. You know, a lot of twang, a lot of guitar heavy, sort of ominous tones.
And
Really good, really good.
and he's familiar with us as a band, and is familiar with our previous recordings, and really knew what we wanted to achieve with this one. And you know, mainly just wanted it to feel open, but not, you know, just like you could hear everyone's parts open, but not sparse. And I feel like this is the first time we've really achieved kind of how we sound live.
Gotcha.
Versus,
Yep.
you know, like he was able to really get a good energy out of us in the studio. And then he also was really knowledgeable about the vocals and how the vocals should sit in the mix, and just kind of filling out the stuff with the rhythm guitar and everything. You know, it was really cool.
Yep. Yeah, and you mentioned the twang. There's a good amount of twang on the record, which is always a good thing, especially on Pain in My Heart. There's a video there, and twangy guitars everywhere. What can you add to that?
There's a pain in my heart, and I don't really understand it. But the moment I saw you is when I felt it start. And there's a low I won't go, and I'm doing all I can just to avoid it. But when you walked out with me, it's when I fell to the floor. And I know I treated you bad, I treated you poorly. And now I'm getting mine 'cause I'm sitting here lonely.
I mean, we wrote it that way, and also we knew that the column would be good at capturing that style for us.
Right.
So, you know, that's a style of country music that we love, more of the sort of Bakersfield style country,
Right.
and with some twangy surf elements. And
Yeah.
you know, Dick Dale meets, you know, Buck Owens.
Yeah. We didn't want every song to, like, we love Pain in My Heart and You're What I Need, but it'd be really easy to make the whole album songs like that. But
Right.
I felt like that would just be a little redundant. And whenever we get albums that are like that, it just gets kind of boring halfway through, because you're like, okay, it's predictable. We know what all the songs are, but here it is.
Yeah.
And so I feel like for this album, you don't know what every song is going to be like, because they're all different, but they're still cohesive.
Yep. It's interesting you mentioned Bakersfield and Buck Owens. I just interviewed a guy named, just seconds before you, called George Dukas, who is putting out a new album, and he's all about the honky tonk and the Bakersfield thing, and he was just raving on about it. He's been making records for like 30 years, and you know, he's
cool.
doing his thing, but he's definitely got that honky tonk thing down, that California sound. So is country music, do you consider, would you perform in a country setting, or are you kind of separate?
We do all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, we play everywhere from sort of honky tonk bars to, you know, punk rock clubs to
wineries and breweries and
everything, any kind of venues,
listening rooms.
You know, that's another reason why we don't like to sort of pigeonhole ourselves into any specific style, because we can appeal to a lot of different crowds and a lot of different tastes, and country is definitely one of those.
Yep. And I see you got the Bo Diddley beat going on My Baby's Gone, so that's always a good thing to throw in there.
My baby's gone, said goodbye. Now all day long I cry and cry. Without your love I'm so alone. Tell me, what can I do? Come back home.
Yeah, definitely. You can't go wrong with that.
So the tour going through the States, what's it feel like in the country at the moment? Because you know, I mean, from outside looking in, we have our own perception of what the U.S. is looking and feeling like these days, with all this. There's climate change, and there's the election, and there's, you know, all sorts of, it just seems like one thing after another. Shootings, this and that and the other thing, all that stuff. What's it feel like?
The U.S. has always been a really polarized place politically, and that, you know, now is no exception, and it's always been that way since, you know, you can go back in history. It was like this in the the 20s, the 30s, the 50s, way back. We had a civil war about
I was going to say the Civil War is pretty
differences in
polarizing.
political opinion. So, yeah, and it's an election year, so you're going to get a lot of really opinionated people on one side or the other, and
Right.
we definitely have our own politics and our own views on things. We try not to let that creep into the music or
because
the band too much, because it's an annoying topic. I don't know.
we want our shows to be entertaining and fun and an escape for however long from all of that stuff. It's like you see everything when you're driving, or you turn on the TV or anything, or get on your computer. So it's nice to just be able to, like, I'm going to go to a show and watch this band and forget about all the noise for a little bit and have this kind of noise. But I mean, touring in the US right now, because it's June and it's like early summer, it's awesome. Like weather-wise, It's perfect. We were just sitting, before we got on this call, we're just sitting out at our host's neighbor's house by their pool, having a beer on their patio.
Nice. Oh man.
We'll just say that.
Yeah.
We'll just say that we have a lot of touring in Europe coming up, and we're really looking forward to that.
Yeah, we'll be there in November. So.
Yeah. So is it different for you playing to a European audience or an Australian, New Zealand, than playing to American audiences?
Yeah, it is. It's I would say it's a less familiar idiom for a lot of people in Europe than it is for people in America and Australia. And in Australia, people, I would say that Australian tastes are very much aligned with people's tastes here. It could be almost the same.
Yeah.
They're very similar places with different accents.
Yeah.
And when you go to Europe, there's not a lot of that. Country western background, although there is. They act like there's not, but there's been country western bands going to Europe for 70 years or earlier. So people always act surprised by it, but it's everywhere. You go into every secondhand record store in Germany and you can find country western records, American bands, country western records. So it's not that different, but the crowds are different, I would say, in a lot of ways.
Yeah. It's almost like country music has become like the underground music, especially in New Zealand. There was like a Brad Paisley show and a Luke Combs show, or Combs, I don't know how you pronounce it, but they were huge sellouts. They sold 12,000, and I went to both of those shows, and they were not the people that I see at most concerts. I go to a lot of shows, and everyone knew every word to every song. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was like, where did that come from?
Yeah, there's a lot, all these countries have kind of a history of good country music.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Very good. All right. Well, and you guys, I think I saw you guys at the Whammy Bar last time you were here. So hopefully you'll make it down here sometime soon once you're done traveling the world, because we need to hear these new songs.
Yeah,
definitely.
We're trying to get over to Australia again in January. So whenever we're over there, we try to get back to New Zealand at the same time. So hopefully January next year we'll be by that way.
And it'll be summertime.
Yeah, we're always chasing summer, so it's perfect.
Can't beat that. All right, very good. Thank you guys for finally connecting, and we got it all sorted out. It's looking good, sounding good. Love that T-shirt.
All right, thanks.
Unbelievable. All right, I'll see you.
Awesome.
Have a good time. Thank you.
Nice to see you.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.